Don't miss out on important news. Our videos are being deleted. So if you don't want to be cut off from honest news, take a moment to sign up for our newsletter at newsletter.ntd.com so you don't lose access to NTD. Go to newsletter.ntd.com to sign up for our evening newsletter.
Last week, the U.S. Senate introduced a bipartisan bill, the Endless Frontier Act, that would strengthen America's ability to compete with the Chinese regime in science and technology. The initiator of the bill talked about its importance.
The Endless Frontier Act is an initiative in response to China's very significant investments in research and development and sort of cutting-edge 21st century technologies, things like artificial intelligence and quantum computing, genomics.
The bill would allocate $100 billion over the next 5 years to bolster U.S. research and development to counter China's. It would also provide $10 billion to establish regional innovation hubs. Last Wednesday, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, along with Senator Todd Young and 10 other senators from both sides of the aisle, reintroduced the Endless Frontier Act. A similar bill has also been introduced in the House. Senator Young said that if the U.S. is going to outcompete the Chinese Communist Party and make sure American values prevail, it's essential to invest in these areas. The bill can also motivate the American people.
Their creativity can be harnessed in this whole of society effort to ensure, just as we did during the Cold War, that Western values of freedom and opportunity and agency among rank and file citizens prevails over the state capitalist model of the Chinese Communist Party.
Right now, reportedly more than 200 amendments to the bill have been filed. This could delay the vote on the bill, but it also shows great bipartisan interest. In addition, the White House press secretary issued a statement in support. According to a national intelligence report, the Chinese regime is the #1 threat to U.S. national security. Lately, Beijing has boosted their investment in strategic technology.
Hostile foreign regimes will now have to think twice before messing with Texas. A bill just passed the state Senate with flying colors that bans them from the state's critical infrastructure. One of the bill's main authors explains why it's so important. NTD's Allison Lee has the details.
It prohibits countries that are hostile to our nation, specifically China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, from tying into our critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure such as our communications, cybersecurity, our electric grid, hazardous waste, and our water supply system.
Texas State Senator Donna Campbell gives the example of a proposed wind farm project near an Air Force base in the southern border. The Chinese owner behind this investment is a former officer from the Chinese regime's military. His company bought 130,000 acres of land in western Texas beginning in 2015.
What is a Chinese citizen who's a billionaire? What is his interest whenever he's a high-ranking member of the Chinese Communist Party? What's his interest in this project? As we looked into it, it started looking more and more like a Trojan horse.
The investment drew scrutiny last year, with many experts believing it poses a national security threat. This is because the Chinese company might be able to collect intelligence from the military base, and the wind farm will be connected to the Texas electric grid. Texas State Representative Tan Parker highlights Texas's strategic importance to the nation.
Texas is home to 15 military installations and over 227,000 uniformed and Department of Defense civilian personnel. Texas hosts an array of combat-capable military units and innovative military installations on the forefront of cutting-edge technology.
The new bill will prohibit businesses from signing any contracts with Chinese, Russian, Iranian, and North Korean-based companies or companies owned by citizens of the 4 countries in relation to infrastructure. It has now moved to the Texas State House. Allison Lee, NTD News.
The Department of Homeland Security is launching a new operation focused on combating human smuggling. The emphasis is on taking down criminal organizations that smuggle individuals into the U.S. from Mexico and Canada. Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas announced Tuesday the creation of Operation Sentinel. The operation targets transnational criminal organizations involved in human smuggling and trafficking.
We know all too well that these organizations put profit over human life with devastating consequences. With the help of our federal and foreign partners, we aim to cut off access to that profit by denying these criminal organizations the ability to engage in travel, trade, and finance in the United States.
Mayorkas says they intend to disrupt every facet of the logistical network these organizations use to succeed. This includes revoking the travel documents of identified smugglers and their employers, as well as freezing financial assets and suspending trade entities. 100 visas have already been revoked under the operation. Numerous departments and agencies will work together to carry out this comprehensive operation. Mexico and the Northern Triangle countries will also join as partners. A number of experts say smuggling into the U.S. has increased due to the Biden administration's lenient immigration policies. This human smuggler even credited the president and said business is booming.
Con el beneficio que les está dando su nuevo presidente, la gente se animó más a venir.
However, administration officials insist the border is not open. Officials say the new operation aims to protect border security and help save the lives of vulnerable migrants. Border agents have rescued nearly 4,800 immigrants along the border since October. Troy Miller, a senior Customs and Border Protection official, said this includes many who were abandoned by smugglers. He says cartels regularly ditch the injured and the weak during the trek to the U.S., often women and children.
These migrants are abandoned in remote and dangerous areas and usually left without food or water. These organizations are complicit in sexual assault, human trafficking, and abandonment of young children, which we routinely encounter.
He added the message to smugglers is, "We know who you are, and we're coming for you." Data from the Washington, D.C. Police Department may not be safe. A group of hackers claims they have sensitive information and they're demanding ransom. NTD's Lin Lin has the story.
A Russian-speaking ransomware group says they have stolen sensitive data from the server of the Washington, D.C. Police Department. The hackers posted a ransom note claiming they had stolen more than 250 gigabytes of data. The D.C. Police Department said they are assessing the full impact and engaging the FBI to investigate. The ransomware group Babuk is threatening to publish this sensitive information, including informants, if the police department does not respond within 3 days. Yochai Korem, who is the CEO of the cybersecurity firm CyberInt, says the general guidance is not to pay the ransom because it only gives hackers more fuel. But this case is complicated.
We actually talk about lives to motivate them to pay the ransom. But I guess this is a tough situation. We can see other agencies in the U.S. in different parts that in the past has paid the ransom.
This is the third U.S. police force hit by a ransomware attack in 6 weeks, and it's the 26th government agency targeted this year.
Some of the cities and other local and state organizations within the yearly budget, they already put an amount for a ransom. Those organizations understand that this is a wave and they actually prepare for that with all kinds of emergency situations.
Karem recommends both individuals and companies use two-factor authentication. He says this will effectively enhance data security and make it 1,000 times more difficult to hack. Lin Lin, NTD News.
Dogs might be man's best friend, but luckily for one, they're plenty friendly among their own as well. A heartwarming moment as one dog saves the life of a pal. Footage shows the 13-year-old Pomeranian Chunky slipping clumsily into the pool. A silly blunder, except he was too small to climb back up the steps. No one was home, no human anyway. The 7-year-old Staffordshire Terrier, named Jessie, seems to realize the danger. She tries calling for her owners. No answer. Jessie starts reaching into the water, attempting to pull her friend to safety, but his wet fur keeps slipping through Jessie's teeth. Finally, after 34 minutes, Jessie gets a good grip and pulls Chunky to safety. A little shaking, and Chunky is as good as new. And their relieved owners are looking into installing a cover on their pool.